Hey, business building warrior. I hope you're having a great weekend. I know it's the weekend because this episode is dropped on a Saturday. This is our weekend update episode. Thanks for hanging out with me over some of your weekend. What we like to do on a Saturday, once a week or so, is we go find an older episode. Maybe it's an episode you missed. Maybe you're new to our listening community. Thank you for joining us, by the way. But you haven't heard some of the hundreds of great interview episodes that we've done over the years. Because if you weren't aware, this podcast is committed to about 75% of the shows being interviews with the successful students who have taken our flagship Amazon training course. It's called the Proven Amazon Course. You can read more about it at provenamazoncourse.com. There's a link at silentjimdotcom that'll take you right to it as well. We've also got a free Facebook group that was born out of that course, about 73,000 members approximately coming up on it as I'm recording this. These are all people who are using the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple streams of income with an emphasis on Amazon as the preferred starting point for those who don't have something else in mind that's really working well for them. We'd love to start you out with the Amazon Replens model. And like I said, we've got hundreds of success story interviews with students who've used that model and built beautiful businesses. And that's what we have for you today. So we go back and we find some of the best clips from episodes from a few months or maybe even a year or so ago that you might have missed. So before we jump over to that, how about a quick announcement and then we'll jump into the content for the weekend. The Proven Conference is coming up July 6th through 8th. Hundreds of people are already registered. We're going to go to Columbus, Ohio, July 6th through 8th, 2023, and we really want you there. The website is theprovenconference.com. We're going to have over 40 breakout sessions. There's something for everyone from brand new seller who has no idea about anything up to the more advanced sellers who are looking to continue expanding and growing and making great connections. It's a tremendous event. This is the 11th time we've done it. People walk away saying, I will definitely be back, which is a good indicator that you've had a good conference when 98% of your attendees are saying, I am definitely coming back in the future. So we really have dialed this thing in over the years. You're going to have a tremendous experience. And get this, because we have such generous sponsors that you can see listed on the event page, they're helping us create a pool of funds for scholarships, meaning if you just can't quite justify the price of attending, we'd love to help you. We'd love to have you there at no admission fee. If that sounds interesting to you, you can go over to the main website, theprovenconference.com, and just put /scholarship on the end, theprovenconference.com/scholarship. Fill out that short form. Someone will get back to you. If you filled out that form and no one gets to you, hey, drop us an email, because at this point we have responded to just about everyone, letting them know their status. But we do have scholarship slots left. We would love to see you there. All right, warrior, it's the weekend, but it's a Saturday. So you're still in work mode. You're still ready to tackle some new ideas to grow your business. That's great. Hey, I believe in a 6-day work week too. That's what God did when he created the universe. He worked 6, rested 1. That's what warriors do. So let's jump in, get some great content, get some inspiration, learn some lessons, and we'll have another brand new, fresh episode for you on Monday. God bless you. Let's get into it. You made a decision, you watched a video, private label. And for those who've listened to many episodes of this program, you've heard me say many, many, many times, new sellers should never go down the private label path. Your odds of success are at best 5%. As a new seller, at best 5% of the time. Spending thousands of dollars, actually $1,500 for that course would have been one of the least expensive courses in the private label niche. In months of work, in many cases, tens of thousands of dollars spent. But I'm curious if we could just revisit that decision point, because you watched a 5-hour video. That's a pretty serious commitment. And then they had this course. What was it that kind of tipped the scale for you to say, you know what, I think I'm going to wait, because I'm not anti-private label.
Right.
I'm anti-private label for new sellers.
Right.
So you were a new seller. So I would have done everything I can to convince you and tip you in this direction of like, slow down. Let's go where the low-hanging fruit is. Let's wade into this thing, put some money in the bank as you learn.
Right.
Was there something that convinced you? I'm always kind of looking, this is for my own sake, and maybe for someone who's listening to this going, wait, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm considering this whole private label thing. Talk me through your decision there.
So actually, I had a call my first call with the woman that you call for like a coaching.
Oh yeah, we've only got one consultant that's female on our team, so I know you're talking about Deborah.
Yeah. She's amazing, by the way.
Super sweet. Yeah, been with me a long time too.
Yeah. So when I was on the phone with her, I said I wanted to get into private label, and she was like, well, that's a pretty big investment. Like if you are going to be successful, which, we don't necessarily recommend that for new sellers, you're probably going to need around like $10,000 ish to really do it right.
Minimum, with no guarantees it's going to work out.
Right. So after that, I just kept listening to your podcast, and you kept saying that, this is the best way to start with the replens. And so I listened to that. I was like, you know what, this has to be true. So
you hear all the guests saying the same thing. And I think the most compelling evidence that we have to offer, not just my opinion or me observing, but listen to the podcast guests, so many of them, dozens of them over the past couple of years alone, who say, I went down the private label road, didn't really work out, got a garage full of stuff I can't sell. I spent $25,000 and I don't know what I'm going to do with all that inventory. But Replens Model has renewed my hope. It's like, why not just start there? Just start there with the low-hanging fruit model. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get that out there, how you went through that process. So it sounds like Deb saved you a good chunk of change there.
Yeah. For new sellers, for people that are trying to get into this, I personally recommend like really get it down, like get to a point where, and I'm still trying to get to this point where I'm very confident in my sourcing and the ability to find profitable ASINs where I can't afford to even buy all of them. I'm still like trying to get really confident before I look for maybe more funding. I think I'm really close, but I'm not in a rush. I'm not trying to replace my firefighter career or anything, but I'm trying to set myself up so I can maybe retire like earlier than I would have and have this business to, work on after that.
Very healthy perspective, a long-term perspective.
Right.
And taking your time. Sometimes I think it's almost can be to your detriment to have a large pool of cash, like in that feeling of like, all right, this is my business investment. I'm going to spend it all on this business. And you can go a little too aggressively, a little too quickly into wading into those waters. It's
exactly
kind of your desire to succeed quickly outpaces your abilities to make good decisions, and you can find yourself buying some inventory because that really is the game.
Right.
You make your money when you buy your inventory, as we say around here. If you're not buying good inventory, all you've done is create a future headache for yourself.
Exactly.
That's the game. That's what we pride ourselves on being really good at, is saying no to all the bad inventory and yes to only those that you have a very high level of confidence in going after.
Right.
I think that's the journey you're on. And happy to dig into the weeds with you too, because I think that's where a lot of people find themselves, Ted, is I'm kind of good at this, but here's some mistakes I've made. And those mistakes shape you too. So they're not necessarily a bad thing, as long as they're not huge, expensive mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I think that's kind of one of the challenges, is having that patience where like you don't see your, like a lot of your profit right away. Like it takes a while for your money to turn.
Yeah.
But just like always trying to learn more, especially like in the beginning, like you just gotta get it down. And I know these are what I probably should have paid for instead of inventory. I probably should have paid for the coaching program.
You'll get there, and you'll be able to pay for that all cash at some point in the near future. I'm more concerned about the trajectory versus the order that you do things in.
Right.
The trajectory.
Yeah.
All right. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, because people ask me all the time, should I get coaching early or should I wait till I've kind of got it down? I'm like, ultimately, where you will be 5 years from now, coaching today versus coaching 6 months from now, doesn't make that huge of a difference. It's more trajectory.
Right.
Are you growing slowly? Are you making better decisions consistently? Coaching will speed that up a little bit, whether you do it now or then. You might get a slightly different coach, a newbie-friendly coach versus how to scale from $30,000 to $50,000 a year coach. Right? Like those are different skill sets, but they're both going to keep you on a nice trajectory. So a long-term commitment to the process, willingness to continually learn, continually test, expanding your relationships. The coach is going to speed things up when you're ready for it. But we've had plenty of people. It's actually another Indianapolis guy that that's come to mind who did it for a while himself, and then got a coach. He was a chiropractor, my aunt's chiropractor, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And he waited till he had the profits, the proceeds from. He started with $200, rolled it over. He had some profit in the bank now. I think at the point he had $10,000 or so. It's like, I'm going to use some of that, and I'm going to get a coach. And then things took off to another level from that. But he never tapped into borrowed funds, or he just kind of let his business pace for itself. And I can definitely respect that.
Yeah.
That's a nice pace. That's a nice trajectory. That's understanding time's on your side as you're learning these new skills.
Yep.
Don't beat yourself up, man. It'll still be there when you're ready.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, so I don't know. Well, I think I heard you recommend this book on the podcast, and then I think you also mentioned it in person, but the Business Secrets from the Bible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've got my copy right there. I can see mine. It's just out of arm's reach.
Yeah, I loved that. It was really eye-opening.
Awesome.
I mean, this whole getting into this program, I was kind of lost, just like in my life, and honestly, I kind of feel like you coming into my life was like God kind of coming into my life a little bit, and it's been like really, really life changing. Like I'm excited every day to like work on this and
wow.
Be a part of this community, and it's really like breathed in a lot of life and like positivity, and turning into the person that I've always kind of imagined my like potential to be, that I hadn't really been meeting before. So
I love to hear that. I didn't realize it had been that significant for you, but
yeah,
I know that so many of the leaders on our team consider this a ministry. We pray for God to send us the people who most need what we have, that we can most help, in other words, that they will come into this community, that they will be impacted, and not that they will come to love us. That's a cool side benefit, but that they will become the person that God designed them to be. The man, the husband, the mom, the wife, the mother, the father, the friend, the accomplishments, and so many, especially younger men I know, are just striving for, like, I know there's got to be more. I'm capable of more. I don't want to settle for this. I want to do something, not so I can be considered important and special and big, but just something significant, something bigger than me. And they find that to a degree through business and those relationships and those people who are doing life at a different pace with they're excited about life. They're looking forward to Mondays.
Right.
Instead of, when's Friday going to get here, And that's it, really. That's kind of when I know the switch is flipped, when people are excited about Mondays instead of excited about Fridays.
Yeah. I just started a dry month a little over a week ago. And on top of that and this, I'm really glad that I'm not, drinking right now, and putting all of my time and energy into this, and just things that I feel like are more important now.
That's
I'm just
beautiful.
Starting to grow up a little bit. I'm 31 years old. So it's been an exciting change over the last, since I found your community and stuff. So
that does my heart good, man. There's several leaders. I'm going to make sure that they hear this episode too, because that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this about my family's history, but they're very active and involved in recovery. And so, not to sign any negatives, there's plenty of people that can handle alcohol in a healthy way. I'm not surrounded by many of them, but I know that happens. But I also know a lot of people, there's this switch that flips and suddenly they find themselves in very unhealthy territory. And it gets very dangerous very quickly and life-altering in a negative way. And so my parents' history of decades, just recovery. There's an organization called Celebrate Recovery. It's a Christians Alcoholics Anonymous, basically. Up until my dad passed a couple of years ago, he was very involved, but now my mom runs one of the largest chapters in Indiana. So it's a topic near and dear to my heart. So when I hear guys like, I don't need that stuff as much as I thought, I'm going to take a break from it, or I'm going to quit or whatever.
Yeah.
It always does my heart good. That's perhaps a story for another day, but
sure.
I've seen the damage it can do. Let's just leave it at that. And so I know you becoming a healthier, stronger version of yourself, wiser, making great choices, building a business, getting out of bed with a renewed energy. on top of already having very meaningful work, obviously, but you're looking to expand in the right direction. So I love hearing that from a young man. I mean, I've got 20 plus years on you, so I can call you a young man, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Super proud to be playing a small role in all of that. Love to hear it. Thanks for your transparency too. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Also, I just wanted to mention this real quick. After I met you and you recommended that Business Secrets from the Bible, I made this shirt. It says, "God, ancient Jewish wisdom."
A shout out to Lap.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I was going to give that to you if you, whenever you showed up again, if you were going to.
Absolutely.
I'll have to find a way to get that to you.
You know, who's going to love that shirt is me. And who's going to roll her eyes is my wife, because I can't shut up about, somehow I always turn every conversation back into, there's actually a biblical principle there, ancient Jewish wisdom. It's not common sense either. And she's like, here we go. So now you're going to be creating even more of those conversations in my life. Yeah. For those who don't know about the book that Ted mentioned, Business Secrets from the Bible by my good friend, Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He's an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. I'm a Christian. Your worldview really doesn't matter. You can absorb timeless biblical lessons, timeless truths, I should say, from the Hebrew culture that have just proven over and over and over again. And it's not common sense stuff, right, Ted? I mean, it's like, wow, I've never thought of that before. But there it is, a principle from the oldest book in world history that's proven time and time and time again. And I've never even seen the world that way before. And it does, it challenges you. And I found it challenging me in shaping me into the type of leader I became in many ways. I'm not going to dive into it now, but it's a great book. I always put that on like top 2 or 3 recommended books of when someone's like, hey, I'm thinking about being more entrepreneurial. I want to start a successful business. I want to get my mind right about business and money. And if you're open to a biblical perspective on those things, man, that book is tremendous.
Yes, 100%.
Do you have any lessons that stood out? Not to put you on the spot, but did anything jump off the page at you that you've kind of underlined or highlighted that off the top of your head? And if not, that's fine. But I'm just curious, you said the book was significant to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the just helping others in any way that you can is kind of a big thing. And like having that abundance mindset, which you talk about all the time. Just if you can help someone and like build those relationships, I think that's something that you also mention a lot. Is I think that's huge. Just not being alone in your journey and building the relationships by helping others, and it always comes back to you. And that's something that I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about as much before that book.
Being more intentional about it. Yeah. Always be expanding that list of people that know, like, and trust you. And that requires time, effort, and energy, and accountability, and availability, and proximity. Even one of my favorite words in the internet era is proximity. It's hard to disciple or get really close to somebody or really hold each other accountable if it's all done virtually or by email or text or whatever. Social media has kind of pulled a lot of that away. So to the degree that you can begin to embrace those face-to-face encounters and, those lunches like the one that we met each other at, a lot can happen very quickly. And Lapin shares, that's one of the principles he shares. And there's just the speed of trust that accelerates when there's proximity, when you're in the same room together at the same time. Yeah. You can read body language, which is 80% of communication. And females know this. Guys were a little slower to absorb, like, what? It's the same thing for me to read a text versus a dude say it to my face. It's the exact same thing, right? It's like, no, it's not. It's not the same thing at all.
Right.
The communication of body language and attitude and even the vibe that you can tell, man, this person's having a rough day, man. I need to ask him if he's okay. You can't pick that up from a text or from an email or even from a Zoom necessarily.
Yeah.
So there's the value of that. And that's why we've intentionally, in our Facebook group, for example, this is one of the principles from the book, Ted, where we encourage people, find out who lives near you in this group. Here's how to do it. Get together with them. Don't do this alone. The Bible says it was not good for man to be alone, talking about Adam and Eve. He wasn't just talking about marriage, man and a woman. He was saying it's not good for any of us to be in isolation for extended periods of time. It'll crush your soul. You'll find yourself far weaker and accomplishing far less with your life. You need to be around other people.
Yep.
So thanks for letting me spend a little bit of time on my favorite business book outside the Bible itself. That book really unpacks some great lessons.
Yeah.
One other thing I'll say about it, Ted, you got me started. It's your fault, but is the Bible has 2 to 3 times, depending on how you measure it, 2 to 3 times more to say about money and business than it does love and prayer combined. It's just full of very practical money and business wisdom.
Yeah.
So to ignore that at your own peril, I will say, regardless of worldview again. But yeah, thanks for letting me spend some time on that and for bringing it up. And I will definitely take you up on that shirt. That is a cool shirt. Got ancient years wisdom.
Yeah.
Lappin has been to our live event a few times as our keynote, and fully intend to see if he's available to speak at other future events as well.
Oh, yeah.
So you may get a chance to meet him if you come to one of our events. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but I have to tell you about a coaching program that's been around for about 19 years. It's coached almost 10,000 e-commerce business building warriors. It's got a team of about 60 coaches who are not only great teachers with tremendous hearts who love their students, but they're all succeeding at the business strategies that you hear taught on this show. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about our coaching program. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. Get over there, get on our schedule, have a free consultation, zero pressure. We're going to help you build your business on that call. Sign up at silentjim.com, free consultation. See if our coaching program is a good fit for you, where you get to not only work one-on-one with one of our tremendous coaches, not only do you get that, you also get a reactive coach that you can contact at any point in time. That's a separate coach. You get all the training and content that we provide around here at no cost now and into the future. Tremendous list of benefits. I'm not going to go into all of them right now. silentjim.com. Click on the coaching link, sign up for a consultation. Hey, let's get back to the program.
But yeah, with, I guess some of the struggles in the business is just, it can be a little overwhelming, just balancing all the different aspects, knowing what to focus on. I've recently gotten a business journal and actually got a free one, a Q1 business journal from Kyle in our little local meetup. And so I'm testing that out, and using a business journal is a game changer as far as organizing your day and setting goals, being able to mark off, habits that you want to do, and just learning how to be a more productive human has been something that, is just a learning process.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote that I heard from Jim Rohn. I'm pretty sure it's the guy that said it. He's a famous business motivational speaker. Have you heard of him, Jim Rohn?
Yeah.
ROHN. Yeah. He says, set about becoming a millionaire, not so you can have $1 million, but so you can become the kind of person who's capable of having $1 million.
Yeah.
That's worth far more.
Right.
Doesn't that make sense?
Oh my gosh.
It's not about having a certain amount of money in the bank. Like, yeah, that's great. I mean, maybe buy some nice things. Cool. But the kind of person you have to become to make that journey, like you said, the discipline. There's a reason. This isn't actually another Lappin lesson where he says, isn't it interesting that all the most influential and charismatic and memorable people of history, somehow we can always go back and see what they wrote in their journal. Their memoirs are published at some point, and these are the things that they did over the course of their life. Is it that famous people just somehow randomly write journals? Or is it that journaling leads you to becoming that kind of person who ends up being noteworthy and influential and of great accomplishments? I'm pretty sure it's the latter. There's something that happens when you start journaling. Your subconscious is now holding you accountable to that ink to paper. Not typing isn't the same. It's ink to paper journaling.
Yeah.
Here's the things, you start your day. Here's the things I'm grateful for. And then you look over the things you want to achieve that day. And at the end of the day, then you write down, here's how I handled the things I expected of myself today. It was a failure in all measurable ways. Today was a disaster. But you write it down. You hold yourself accountable to it. Today was beautiful. The things that I hoped would worked out beautifully. And here's why. And here's the lesson from 3 months ago. I did X, Y, and Z, and it's finally paying off. And you can flip through that. One is the record of your achievements. But the thing I think is more powerful is your subconscious kind of sets about tackling those things
Yeah.
that you committed, pen to paper, that very physical act of writing them down.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly your brain's working when you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, and you're motivated, and you find inspiration from places where you didn't know you would see it. I guess it's kind of hard for me to verbalize the power of it, but until you've tried it, don't knock it. I love to hear you say that. It's one of the things we encourage all of our coaching students to do. If you didn't know, is journal, business journal specifically, separate just for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And what's working? What are you grateful for in the morning? At night, here's the things I'd hoped to get done that I didn't quite get done. Here's what I really want to try to knock out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get up the next day, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Start with gratitude, end with here's how it went today, and here's what I want to do tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm always excited to sit down at my computer, and ideally I like to put my, to-do list and kind of rank priorities the night before. Mm-hmm. And then so when I wake up, I can just look at it and without having to, think about it and use all that brain energy to figure out what you need to do. Yeah. It's already there and you're ready to go.
Yeah. And if you commit to it right before you sleep, your brain's already organizing, even though you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Kind of organizing your day for you.
Yeah. So and you can kind of stop thinking about it and help you get to sleep.
There's a great book called Getting Things Done. I can never remember the author for some reason, but it talks about that, getting your brain to that place where you don't have to remember things. Your brain isn't built to remember tiny details of like, at 3:00 today, I got to do this. And this piece of paper, I'm going to need it August 14th. Where do I put it? I got to just leave it right in the middle of my desk, I guess. And, you just find yourself kind of cluttering with stuff you have to remember. Mm-hmm. And that book very methodically makes sure that you can live at peace knowing right now, I'm not forgetting anything. And 2 hours from now, when important things are happening that I need to be ready for, I'm going to get warnings for that. I'm going to get reminders, and I'm going to have what I need in hand at the right time.
Yeah.
To be very productive. Getting this is another Daniel Lapin thing. I find myself quoting him all the time, and it's not him. This is ancient Jewish wisdom. This is biblical truth. But he says that the great secret to success in life, if you had to boil it down to one, there's many. He doesn't like cliches. But he said if he had to pick one, it would be do what must be done when it must be done.
Yep.
That's it. Right. And
I was actually about to bring that
up. The firefighting department, you're fully aware of that. Like the worst thing that could happen, I got to imagine, is you get a serious call at 3 a.m. You guys are scrambling like rolling hoses and where's my boots? Where did I leave my boots? Like, that's a disaster. Those extra 45 seconds or 6 minutes could be someone's baby that doesn't live. Like, so preparation is built in to everything. Like, I mean, I even love, like, I run, and we run past a fire department, one of the newer locations here. And every time I go by there, the doors are open on the truck. Like, I've got to imagine that's like, we don't waste any time opening the door.
Yeah.
Hop in and shut the door. Yeah. Opening the door takes 3 seconds. Those 3 seconds could be the difference between someone making it and someone not, right? Like, is that what's behind that? I'm just kind of guessing.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason.
Things.
Yeah, just little inefficiencies that you kind of get out of the way. And, we got our boots there. We're ready to hop in, get going. If it's, sometimes you just have to get all of your gear on the way there because it's faster to do it inside the truck than before you get in it and everything.
That's what I'm always telling my wife about her makeup too. It's like, hey, we got a half-hour drive. Come on, let's go.
Same thing.
Right. No, I love it. But those skills are going to serve you well in this. Is that precise. Is like, why put this off till tomorrow? I can check the box today, quickly, efficiently. It's on the top of my mind. I don't have to spend my night worrying about it. Or you set yourself reminders. I've become a huge fan of using my own text. I text myself a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to have to commit this to memory. I'm just going to text myself a note right now. Then I'll go back through all my text notes at a later point and make sure I've hit all those things. And email reminders, you can set an email reminder for yourself on a certain date. Maybe it's an ASIN. I've done this many times. I look at an ASIN and I'm like, that's just, I don't know. I'm going to revisit this one in a month. What do you do with that? I send myself an email scheduled for a month from now. It's just that ASIN. Say, hey, check this one out again.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, so you learn the power of that. So you don't have to remember anything.
Yeah.
Getting Things Done is the book that kind of got me disciplined thinking that way.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had any more book recommendations.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a top 20 for me, not necessarily a top 2 or 3, but that's a top 20 for sure.
Okay.
Just kind of organizing yourself, and especially being a disciplined guy like you have to be for your career. You'll appreciate that one for sure. You may even find some ways to do things differently at the station. Who knows? But I imagine most of that's probably pretty dialed in at this point. But if anyone has to remember anything, they're not doing it right.
Yeah.
What other questions did you have for me, if anything? I know you had some notes. Was there anything we could go over to be as helpful as possible in this? And you're doing great, by the way, because in the big, just, take a big picture vantage point for a second while you think about what other topics you want to talk about. Mm-hmm. Starting a business always has meant and always will mean a period of intense focused effort, a struggle at the beginning, new things to learn, feeling like it's not necessarily going all that well.
Yeah.
And then the compounding effect of these lessons you've learned, and suddenly you're making fewer, for lack of a better word, dumb decisions, and suddenly you're making more wise decisions, and that caution starts to pay in your favor, starts to tip in your favor. Now you're profitable. That's the journey.
Yeah.
That's, we see the bright, shiny opportunities online, and like how to make $1,000 per day starting 30 days from now, we'll teach you everything you need to know. It's like, no, that's all garbage, man. There's no one out there really doing that. There's people selling courses, convincing people that they can do that, but those people are asking for refunds later because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Destroying their reputation and creating zero success stories. The reality of business is it's a journey, it's work. You haven't put a ton of money into this yet. You've put some time, learned some valuable lessons. You're on a good trajectory. Stick with it. You're positioned extremely well.
Yeah.
You've learned what not to do, which is just as important to know as what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm fully confident in where you'll be soon. You've had some good days and some good weeks. You've seen proof of concept. It's just a matter of tweaking your processes a little bit.
Yep.
All right. So as long as you're on board with all that, man, you're going to be in a great place 6 months from now, a year from now. You're heading in a beautiful direction, and that you will start to notice doors opening more for you now. You're at that point where it certainly will be happening for you. I take those important areas of life, those 5 important areas of life that you hear Lappin talking about so often: faith, family, friends, finances, fitness, right? Like, you can't just work on 1 or 2 or 3 and ignore 1 or 2 or 3 of the others. No, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
I'm very much into that philosophy.
Yep.
It's very biblical, I believe, as well. And you can see the results of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many people who just thrive in just one area without just eventually the other areas that they ignore dragging down that one area that they're supposed to be successful in, right?
Yeah.
So with all that being said, to evade your otherwise very simple question, you've got to start your mornings out with gratitude. For me, it's gratitude for God. I mean, literally the first conscious thought I have upon waking in the morning, whether I write it down or not, is, wow, thank you, God, for this, for whatever random things I can think of, that my legs work when I swing them over the bed. I know guys that don't have that anymore, right? I can stand up and nothing hurts. Praise God, man.
Yeah.
I can, and just like, so gratitude. And then for me, it's time in the Word, time in prayer. Again, when I'm being disciplined about it. Otherwise, I'll even just think these thoughts. I like to get out and get on a run. So I like to keep my mornings very open. When people schedule stuff with me, very rarely am I available before like noon for anything.
Yeah.
I keep my mornings super flexible. And that's where my day kind of starts to take shape in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before, I've already written or thought through. But now I don't really assign the order of importance until I look at my calendar and then kind of think through based on how my morning's going and what the things I need are. Here's the things I'm going to try to tackle today. Jeff Bezos says I try to make 1 or 2 really good decisions every day. Like, this guy's one of the richest men to ever walk the planet. Business, and that's his philosophy of business. I try to make 1 or 2, at most 3 good decisions a day. Like, we put too much pressure on ourselves. So on this topic, because sometimes, especially with younger guys, what they're looking for is, and I'm not saying you are, but like, I want to hit, like, here's the 10 things I got to do every day. Someone tell me, like, and I'll hit those hard and I will go to where that takes me. That's not it. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves for any given day. I think, what was it? I can never remember which book it's from. It's not Tipping Point. But the concept is basically, we put too much pressure on ourselves and the expectation of what we can accomplish in a day. We don't estimate accurately what all we can fit into a single day.
Yeah.
And to the degree that we do that, we also underestimate what we can do in a year if our trajectory is correct. That's the healthier place to spend. Like, what's my trajectory? Okay, so I missed a workout today. I missed a run today. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Out of the last 20 times you intended to work out or run, you hit it 17 or 18 times.
Yeah.
That's your trajectory. Don't beat yourself up on those days and let that drag you into 3 or 4 days of thinking you're a loser because you skipped a workout or you cheated on your non-cheat day or whatever with your meals. Don't get so tied into that.
Yeah.
But look at it as a timeline. That's where a journal really helps you out too.
Yeah.
So whenever someone talks about routine, I transition that over into a trajectory conversation because I want to see where was I 6 months ago and 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Not yesterday, today, and then what's my plan for tomorrow? Like we get so now focused, we lose sight of the trajectory. So that's about as much as far as business related.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think of myself as flexible and available for my family any given time. That door that you can see right there, it's shut right now, but that's because Dad's on a podcast. Otherwise, that door is open. That means any of my kids coming and going, my wife needs me for something, I can be distracted away. And I take pride in that. Yeah, it throws me off, but I'm Dad, and I'm a husband before I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
So it's keeping those priorities in check. And as far as talking about routine, it's not like I vanish for 9 hours a day because, I cannot be interrupted. That's important to me too. At certain stages of my business growth, I had to be more focused than I am now to continue the momentum.
Yeah.
But the benefit of being disciplined when you're young is you start to kind of hit that, it's not a plateau necessarily, but it takes a lot less work to get that ball up the mountain than it used to. It used to be a steep mountain. It used to feel like that. And now the playing field's kind of tipped and it feels more like you're kind of rolling almost not quite flat. It'll never be flat. It just takes a lot less work and you can take more breaks and still accomplish a significant amount. But that's because you've got the relationships, you've got the team, you've minded your trajectory, your habits. And I will say this too, of all the things you could have asked me, Ted, I love that question and I could talk longer on it, but I won't. But there's a few things that I know really influence. I love talking to young men, typically, somewhere between half your age and your age, and talking to about a few things, classic wisdom that old guys say. Maybe you've heard these things before, but it's so true. Tell me who you hang out with. I'll tell you your future. Tell me what content you're consuming. I'll tell you where you're heading. Tell me what your habits are. I'll tell you what your life will look like a few years from now. I would add to that, tell me how you treat women. I'll tell you how happy you'll be in your 50s. Like, I don't need to know a lot about you to know a lot about where you're headed.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're asking questions like that is, it's good, man. Spend some time hanging out with guys who are older than you, who kind of have that trajectory.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't mind being near where that guy is. How do you get there?
Right.
Good stuff for sure. If I can help you avoid a few mistakes that I made along the way, man, that'd be better.